My name is Gladys Soy. Um, Born in a family of 7. A third born. And we reside, I come from Nakuru County, but Bukia sub-county. Yes, so struggles are real. There are so many. I was raised by a single mother, but after we lost our dad in 2000, and before then, we had a very good family. I can say we were better placed. Not until when a few things happened. My dad got sick for a while, and he passed on. By that time I was young, a bit young, because I was in class 3 in 2000, and things changed. No, I was in class 7, so at some point before he passed on, it was a struggle because he left. We didn't see him for quite some time. Missing in action, being not there to provide. So my mom to struggle through to provide for us was not easy, because before then she was well, everything was okay. So all of a sudden things changed, that my dad wasn't there to provide for us, and we struggled.
Children are meant to be responsible from a tender age, but for Gladys Soy, she forcefully had to learn the hard way, hence taking care of herself at a tender age, which involved doing vibaruas at people's shambas, at least to earn something.
At some extent, I would work on my own to see whether I can be able to provide for myself, which was not easy, because at the age, someone in class 3, to provide for yourself in cleaning, going to people's shambas, trying to get the remains. The people that we thought will be able to stand with us and help us could not be there to help us. So, and I thank God, because at that point I had known God that helped me make a decision. So by the time I was in class 7, I had already started providing for myself, going to being a casual laborer, washing people's clothes at home, and doing a few things so that at the end of the day I can get basic needs. And it wasn't a very easy thing, because being in class 7 you need total provision. But I couldn't get the total provision. I couldn't ask my mom, because even her, she doesn't have. And by that time when my dad was passing on, we had used almost everything. So what we had was nothing. And unfortunately, even that year, it was a very bad year, 2 consecutive years, that when we planted, we planted maize, termites came and destroyed almost everything. So we didn't have food. You don't have food, you don't have clothes, you don't have anything. So it's a matter of struggling through and trying to just wait upon the Lord to come and provide for you. So I made a decision, I made a prayer. I didn't have a choice, and I didn't have a place to run to, but just to run to church. And I think that is even what made me give my life to Christ.
Despite the struggles, her focus was still intact, which was education, discarding her uncle's proposal of going through the knife and getting married. Talk of women who believe in what they're made of despite of their poor background.
And when I was now finishing class 8, I couldn't further my education, because mom could not provide, no one could even understand, and I come from this community that those days they didn't believe in educating a girl child. It was a very hard thing to do. And I tried to talk to my mom and ask her, Mom, can I go back to school, go to high school? And she said, no, you can't. Because even your brother and your sister has not gone beyond class 8, so why do you have to? So I pleaded with her, but she refused. The only thing she told me is, if you will accept to repeat, it is okay. And I told her, yes, I will repeat, as long as after this I will go back to high school. And it wasn't easy. She said it's okay. But I know she just accepted just to encourage me, because that was the only thing. And for me, I believed in education, because from all our family, my mother's side and my dad's side, no one had gone past class 8. So I decided to seek help in my uncle's place, but he couldn't understand. The only thing he told me was, just get married. And in our community, you won't just get married. They believed in female genital mutilation. So the only advice that my uncle told me was, you have to go through that process and you get married, and it will be good to go for us.
It is normally an overwhelming event in any high school during Form 1 admissions. But for Gladys Soy, it was not that overwhelming, since she had nothing to show she was a new student, since her uniform was borrowed and not pleasing. But being the lady she was, her focus was still on education.
So I repeated class 8 and passed. So I came back home, and my mom was like, there is no fees for you to further your education and go to Form 1. I thought of what to do, and I asked even the people, the neighbors, to help me. I had the passion, and I had a dream that I want to go back to school no matter what, whether it works or not. So I remember my brother went to school and took my result slip and talked to the principal. So the principal said, yes, you have very good marks. That is a school just nearby, neighborhood. And he said, just bring her. But now I didn't have money. I asked people to help me, so I went to some of the neighbors, and they gave me clothes for their kids that have already finished Form 4. And I remember I went in a rubber shoe, black rubber shoe, without books, because I didn't have books. My mom afforded to buy me a school bag with the money that one of the uncles helped her. And we reported. I went to school and we reported, and the bursar, luckily, the bursar was our friend, because we used to meet during the youth rallies and everything. He asked me, you are coming to school? I told him, yes. Where are the books? I didn't have books. So he just looked at me. I've gone to school. It is almost 1 month to the closing of the first term. But I had the passion and determination that I have to go to school. So I went, and I didn't pay fees. I didn't have money. So the first term ended, and now the second term started without money. And the only thing that I requested God to give me was favor with the institution, favor with the principal. But now it got to a point whereby they could not tolerate me being in school without school fees. So every time I used to be sent back home, every Monday, people used to be sent back home, and I was among the list of the people that goes back home. So I decided, for me to have a chance to go to class, I will be going to school on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And at times even I go on Wednesday and he sends me back. So the only days that he could not send me back was on Thursday and Friday. So those are the days that I decided to be going to school.
While in school, an opportunity for yet another kibarua popped up, a construction site commonly known as Kazi ya Mjengo. She had to work in order to raise her own school fees.
Now, when I was in third term, I had a very huge balance. And I requested him to allow me to work in school. And there was construction that was ongoing. So when the school closed, I went and worked. So I was carrying water from the river for construction, because they were building some extension of the classes and even the lab. And one jerrycan 20 liter was 10 shillings. And you see, I'm raising a lot of school fees. And I carried, and I did some work, during that period. My mom was also working to provide for the rest. They were in primary school. She goes and she works in people's farm, and it was funny because you go work and you are paid 70 bob. Because we used to work in a farm. If it is this period of cultivation, you work 20 by 15 and you are given 70 bob. And now buying maize, a 2 kg is 100 bob. So meaning you have to work for 2 days for you to eat in a day. So it was a bit challenging. So what she used to do, she used to take a very big, an acre or 2 acres. So on Monday and Tuesday when I'm not going to school, that is when we are going to work on that farm. But now it was a bit hard because we used to work. By the time we are finishing that 2 acre, we still have another date. Maybe in someone else or another person, not even the same person that we are working. So we need to go and get another acre for someone else. So we could not pay school fees. So we could just look for all the ways to see if they give us something small, that is when we pay the school fees. So sometimes I could go to school with 200 shillings and I have a balance of like 20,000. So the principal could look at me and say, you are not serious. How can you bring 200 bob and you have a balance of 20,000 or even 18,000? So when I was in second term, Form 2, because I stayed at home for the better part of first term, the neighbors felt like they will come in and help us. So they organized a small fundraise and they were able to raise 13,000. And that is what I took to school. But it couldn't clear the balance because I had the balance for Form 1 and now Form 2 I have some balance. But the principal understood me at some point. So whatever small that I get, I take it to him. And there was a certain family that I was working. Whenever the school closes, I go work and they give me 1,000 shillings for that month. But now the challenge was sometimes when I'm working, we've already taken some few things from them. So they don't pay me. It just goes for a draw because I'm just paying the debt.
One of the biggest challenge, again being a teenager, was going through menstruation without the sanitary towels, but still had to survive, for her main focus was still intact, which was education.
Okay, being a girl child, it was a challenge. What I used to do, because you need the sanitary towels to use in school, I used to stay at home. Every time that period comes in a month, I just stay at home. And I think at some point my brother understood, but now he was busy providing for his family. So sometimes he could give me 50 bob when I asked him, give me 50 bob. By those days, sanitary towels was 80 bob. I couldn't buy even one, that packet, because they used to sell that package at 80 shillings. And now you see, when I ask my brother to give me 50 bob, he gives me 50 bob, but it is not enough. So sometimes I will ask my mom to give me money, and the question was, you are busy buying the sanitary towels and then we sleep hungry. So it was difficult. I didn't see sanitary towels until when I was in Form 4, the last term. One of the ladies, one of the teachers, I think she understood me at some point, and that is when she helped me. But I believed in God, and I made a prayer just that time that God just give me grace and give me a very good grade. I don't want to be very famous, but I just want to go to university someday. And believed in God. So I did my KCSE that time, and before the KCSE was out, I knew that is no money. So I had given myself a target, and I said I will go work for 2 years and then I'll come back, go to school.
After high school, she thought it would be better, but this was the beginning of another journey. Lack of funds to pursue higher education pushed her to work as a house help, being paid 1,200 Kenyan shillings, which was meant to help her family too, back in the village.
So I went and I was employed in Nakuru as a house girl in one of the homestays. And I worked for 3 months. But the payment was not that good because I was being paid 1,200. And back at home, they are waiting for that 1,200 to support my mom. So after 3 months, I had not done anything. So my brother felt like, my elder brother felt like I'm not supposed to be working there. So I got another job in Kisumu, whereby I was working as a salesperson in one of the dairy farms. And I worked, but unfortunately, the dairy was static. It was not well established. So this lady that had called me to go work, at some point the dairy didn't work well. So she never paid us for quite a period of time. So, but I remember one time when now she paid, the responsibilities were too much. So where every time you ask her for some money, it is not for your use. It is not even to save to go to school, but to send back home for my brothers. Because I made a decision. At some extent, I just made a commitment. And I made a prayer and I said, God, I want to be a blessing to this family. And the only way I can be a blessing to them is to invest in their education. And because I knew God, I said, for me, I have faith in God. For them, they don't understand. They only look at the reality. But for me, I have faith that I know God can make a way even when there is no way. So during that period, I worked. And it wasn't so nice. It wasn't a very good experience because at some point that lady told me to go work in her home. So I again changed and I started working as a house girl. After I was working as a house help, I went to look for another job and I landed in Lavington security. After working for a while, that is when I was transferred to Daystar University. At first, I didn't know Daystar is a university because I was just told to report to a new assignment, which is Daystar. So I went and I realized that it is a university. And since I had the passion to go back to school, I opted to join, but I didn't join immediately. I worked for some few months and then a few things happened that I was almost being sacked, and but the dream was still in me.
A security guard at night and a student during the day. But this did not hinder her from performing, hence opportunities to serve in the university's security office.
I got sick and after a month I came back. That is when now I decided to apply to study in Daystar. But what I really wanted to do was not there. But I found it as an opportunity and an answered prayer for me since I wanted to go to school. So I applied, but I didn't have the money. I only had faith that I will get there and I will be able to graduate someday to come. And I started now going to class. It was a bit tricky because I was working. And by that time, I was given an option by the company to either work or go to school. But at some point, and I can say maybe by the intervention of God, I was allowed to change my shift. So I worked at night and during the day I went to class for a period of a whole year, working at night and during the day going to class. But at some point, the incident that occurred that made me again to stop from working with is that there was a stealing. That is one of the TV that was stolen, and since I was the supervisor, the company felt that it was because of my laxity, so I had to be transferred. So I left Daystar again and I went to town. That is when now I ended up resigning and I went home, but later on I came back with the struggles of not having the school fees and everything, because now I'm not working. But I didn't stop trusting in God. So I trusted in God. And when I was just now back at home after staying for, I think, a few weeks, almost to 3 weeks, I got a message. And I was told that I should go back to school. I was given a first-time scholarship. That is what enabled me to go back to school again. So I went back to school, not working, but now studying full-time. And at some point, when I was still going to school or going to class, on campus, I was given an opportunity to work. And this is how it came. The person that was serving then as a security coordinator left and he resigned, but there was no one else to replace him. So it became a consideration that we need to get someone that will be able to be working here. And because I was there before working with the security company, I went for an interview and I was given that chance to work. So I worked, and I can say it was an opening of God, because now I was able to provide for myself and even to cater for my family.
Working for the institution and the same time being a student had its own challenges, since she was seen as a spy by fellow students. But she never believed in losing focus in her dream of being a graduate one day.
Working and being a student was not easy. Looking at the department that I was working with, because like on campus, there are set rules, and these rules actually brings misunderstanding between the security and the students. It was a very big challenge, because working during the night and during the day going to class, you have to finish your assignments, you have to attend class on time, and again, you must be on duty on time. You don't have any excuse of saying, I was tired today. And at some point, it was so difficult. And the person that I was working with now, by then, he was my operations manager, didn't feel so nice with that, because he felt, because I had to spare some time to do my assignments, and I'm on duty at night, because during the day it is fully going to class, and then at night now is the time that I can spare to do my assignments. So in many cases, I wasn't in a very good terms with my manager. Come with the students, I really suffered, because sometimes students felt like I was a spy for the university. For me, I lived a life of loneliness, because someone will fear that probably when you are talking to them or engaging them, you are trying to investigate them, which was not the case. So I lived my life alone. You go to class, you sit alone. And what I suffered most was group work. When you given group, people just disappear, because they feel like you are so tough on them, you are so hard on them. They know you, they know that at the end of the day tomorrow, probably they have their other issues, and people want to discuss other issues even in those group works. So they really feel like you are a threat to them. So that is the biggest challenge that I suffered. I couldn't engage anyone for group work, I couldn't, and even at some point, I reached a point whereby I had to talk to the lecturer. Instead of me being in a group, I did my own work, because no one really understood me. I appreciate the people that have played a role in my life to get to where I am. I also appreciate the students, that there are those who understood who I am and understood what exactly I was doing. And I thank God because of my mom. She really stood up when I was starting the school and so many challenges. Being a father, being a mother at the same time, being everything to me, and encouraging me when I was almost giving up. And I thank God because of all my brothers. May God bless them wherever they are. And I appreciate that God has brought me this far. Maybe what I can say to the young ladies, just trust in God. Depend in the provision of God, not the provision of men. If you put your trust on men, you will fail. And as the Bible says, that cursed is a man who trusted in men. So just put your trust in God, wait upon him, give all your heart to him. Don't depend on the small things that people can give you. Whatever dream you have, work on it, stand in the gap, and believe that you will achieve. It doesn't matter the time that it may take for you to get there. Just believe and wait upon the Lord. For me, going back to college after 9 years, it is a miracle. Some people may give up. You may give up in 1 or 2 years. Sometimes you may feel like your parents are not giving you what you need. But I didn't have someone to give me what I needed, but I had God to supply all my needs. So just thank God for what your parents are giving you. If there are none, just appreciate God and wait upon him. He will provide for you. because He's our provider. God bless you.
We dedicate this particular piece to all campus students coming from humble backgrounds. Sometimes it can be tough while in campus, living a life with no money even to buy yourself basic needs. But do not lose hope, for it shall be well at one point. To the ladies, better go through luck than involving yourselves in things that will definitely have consequences in the long run. Remember, hard work pays, and you never know where your blessing will come from. In conclusion, the Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail.